Hello and welcome to today's almost daily devotion. We are in the prophet Zephaniah chapter 3, and we're going to start with the first verse. It goes like this. Doom, obstinate one, the defiled one, the violent city. She listened to no voice. She accepted no discipline. She didn't trust in the Lord, nor did she draw near to God. The princes in her midst are roaring lions. Her judges are wolves of the evening. They leave nothing for the morning. Her prophets are reckless men of treachery. Her priests pollute that which is holy. They do violence to the instruction. The Lord is righteous in her midst. He does nothing unjust. Morning by morning he renders justice, but the unrighteous one knows no shame. I will cut off nations. Their towers will be destroyed. I will devastate their streets. No one will pass through, and their cities were laid waste. There will be no person, no inhabitant left. I said, surely she will fear me. She will take instruction, so her habitation will be cut off because of everything I did to her. However, they rose early to corrupt their deeds. Therefore, wait for me, says the Lord. Wait for the day when I rise up as a witness, when I decide to gather nations, to collect kingdoms, to pour out my indignation upon them, all the heat of my anger. In the fire of my jealousy, all the earth will be devoured. So Zephaniah is writing, all the prophets are writing in response to an event, something that's happening in their world. It's not an abstract prophecy. They don't just receive something abstract. It's something concrete that God is trying to tell the people. And Zephaniah here is writing after the reforms of the post-exilic reforms. And so when the people came back from Babylon, they realized that they had messed up and they had to change their ways. And so the kings put into place some reforms to help people be more faithful. And Zephaniah is writing after that. And so it's clear by Zephaniah's writings that the reforms, the rules, didn't help people become more faithful. That the reforms that had been put in place weren't going to work. It didn't bear fruit, these reforms. It turns out putting more laws into place and requiring people to do things didn't actually produce any faith. It produced symbols of faith. So it was obvious by the time that Zephaniah wrote that the acts of faith that people were being forced to perform didn't actually produce faith. And so Zephaniah saw God acting in his world in 4 ways. Prophets, like Zephaniah. Covenant laws, so a renewing of the Old Testament laws that had made them the people of God. Preserving the nature of the world, preserving the world, and so it could continue to go, and by defeating enemies. Zephaniah believes that when we don't see God at work in those things, we are not going to have faith. It doesn't matter what structures you put into place. It doesn't matter what rules you follow. It doesn't matter what patterns you have. It doesn't matter any of those things. If you can't see God at work in those ways, if you can't see God at work in the community promise of a group of believers, if you can't see God at work through prophets and teachers, if you can't see God at work through the preserving acts of nature and creation, of God's sustaining work for us, if you can't see God at work by helping you overcome obstacles, then it doesn't matter what structures you put in place, it doesn't matter what rules you follow, none of that's going to make you more faithful. So how much is seeing a God at work a choice that we have to make? How much of seeing God as work is not a product of our faithful observance of the world, of seeing God doing things? It's not enough to go through the motions, though sometimes they help. It's not enough to just show up and not invest ourselves in seeing the way that God acts, hearing God speak in the midst of those things. It takes more than our bodies. and takes our hearts and our minds and our ears and our eyes. God bless.